You know, springtime is a great time to be outside, and planting a garden is a great way to not just be outside, but also grow some of your own food. We're going to go over some tips and tricks today. I'm going to give you a little lesson in composting, show you a really easy way to make a small compost pile. We're going to be making some biodegradable seed starting. So let's go find some dirt. Okay, so first we're going to show you how to make these biodegradable little seed starters. For a way to start your seeds indoors, we can make these out of some recycled newspaper quite easily, fill them with some soil, start your seeds, and then you can plant this directly in the ground. What you're going to need is you're going to need some newspaper. What I've done here is I've cut this into some strips, and you're going to need something round to act as a mold. I found that these little spice containers work great. It's about the right size for one plant at a time. What you'll do is you want this to be twice the height of your container, and then you're going to fold the top back by about 1/3. And close enough is good enough on this. Then we put this in the middle. We're going to roll it up nice and snug. Then push this down all around so it closes off. Now we want this to stay this way, so I'm going to push this out a little bit, and I'm going to crimp all along the edge with my finger. Then take it out the rest of the way, and it holds together on its own. To make it a little more robust, we can take this and fold it over and give it a little crimp. And with that crimped at the bottom and the top, you now got a nice little cylinder with a bottom to it that you can just fill up with dirt. You can set these out in a tray. You can put them outside during the day, bring them in at night to help harden those plants. It's a great way to start things like tomatoes and green peppers so that you're not planting them directly into the soil when they're still really tender seedlings.
Ready?
So composting is really just a way to encourage the natural process of decomposition that Mother Nature is doing for us already. This takes place in two processes. Some are anaerobic, do not require oxygen, and some are aerobic, which require oxygen. So we're going to focus on the aerobic decomposition process, or aerobic composting. If you're interested in anaerobic composting, check out bokashi, which is a Japanese wet method of composting that uses anaerobic processes. It's also very neat. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be creating a balance between two types of compostable materials, the browns and the greens. The browns are the dry material like these leaves. This could also be things like straw. This can be even shredded newspaper. This can be anything that has a very, very, very low moisture content and is very high in this carbon. So this is where we're going to get our carbon from. Our greens are going to be things that are green. This is grass clippings. This can be things like banana peels, apple cores, things that have a higher moisture content and are going to have a lot of that nitrogen that we're looking for. Our compost pails, we're going to use the bucket method here. This is a real easy way. We're going to have to mix these, and we want to keep a ratio of slightly more brown to green. The exact ratio is going to depend a little bit on temperature, particle size, and a lot of other factors that you can experiment with once you get this basic method started. So for right now, let's estimate that probably 60% of brown to about 40% of green. To really get the oxygen and the air to the compost, we're going to have to stir it. Stirring a compost pile can be kind of a chore, so we've got this 2-bucket method. That's a great way to get an introduction into composting. It will help you stir it very easily and really get that invigorated and happening faster so that you'll have that good soil for your garden a little bit quicker. What you're going to need for this is you're going to need 2 buckets. They don't have to be of the same type. I just happen to have these in my garage. And what we're going to do is we're going to drill some holes in the sides of these because we don't want too much moisture. Composting is all about balance, a balance of browns to greens, a balance of moisture, too much, too little, temperature, too much, too little, and all of these. So we're going to go for probably 5 or 6 holes around a ring for 2 or 3 of those per side or per bucket. And then we're going to shoot to put these in a place that's partial sun, partial shade, maybe the western side of your house. And then as you do this, you can experiment and see where the best place in your area is. So I'm going to get my safety glasses on. Let's drill some holes. Now remember, before we use any kind of power tools, we have to make sure that we've got our proper safety equipment and that we have parental permission and supervision. Hey Mom, is this okay? Thanks. So now we've got 2 buckets with just a few holes drilled. We're not looking to turn these into sieves by any means, but just amount to where we can kind of control how much moisture is staying in there. And also these holes are going to allow air for those aerobic processes to get in. Now what can we compost? We can compost lots of things. We can do yard waste. That's a great way to get a lot of volume of things. I think one of the best things to do is to compost a lot of those kitchen waste and uneaten food items, because then it prevents it from going into the landfill and you get rewarded with really fertile soil for your gardening to then make more food. Things that you cannot compost. We do not want to compost eggshells, bones, meat, and solid pieces of wood. I would probably say a stick like this is okay, but anything that gets to be about pencil size, you want to keep out of your compost pile because it's just going to take that much longer, and the microbes that break down that wood are a little bit different than the ones that are going to break down these leaves and things. So here we've taken some dead leaves and we've kind of gotten a start to filling the bucket. I've got some more of the greens and we're going to layer that in. The idea here is you want it mixed really nice. You can do that by hand. You can get a stick. You can see as I mix this in, we're going for about 60-40. I need a lot more greens in here, but this would be a great way to start it. Then tonight after dinner, any leftover banana peels, apple cores, potato skins, things like that. Basically vegetable and fruit matter. When in doubt, keep it to vegetable and fruit matter to start with. You could put that right on top and think about making layers. Then all we would do is we would set this out and let nature take its course. If you have a lid for the bucket, that's even better to prevent extra rain and too much moisture from getting in. Then, when it's time to stir it, well, when is it time to stir it? I'm going to give you a real easy thing to remember. Once a week. If you stir this once a week, for starters, that'll be great. You might find that you get better breakdown if you stir it a little more often, or you might not need to as much. That'll be a good thing to get you started. So stay with me and I'm going to show you the easy way to stir a compost in a bucket. If you're going to be composting weeds that you pulled out of your garden, that's fine. What you do want to do though is make sure that this doesn't start growing inside your compost, because then all you'll do is spread those seeds. So I'm going to take the root and I'm going to break the root off, and I'm going to take these leaves and just pull them apart a little bit, just to make it a little bit harder for this to continue to grow. And also this is increasing our surface to mass ratio of our greens. Now it's been 1 week and it's time to stir. Well, that's easy with the 2-bucket system. Done! You can jumpstart your compost by taking a little bit of the soil from your area and mixing it in there. That's going to be bringing in those beneficial microbes, mycorrhizal bacteria, and other things that are going to help decompose and chew this up. If you've got a fisherman or a fisher person in your family, be sure to ask if they come back with any leftover bait, because worms, night crawlers, right into the compost are a great way to speed this up, and also you'll know right where to look the next time they want to go fishing. You can do some gardening without even needing seeds at all. You can take cuttings from certain plants and trees and transplant them to start new ones. Here at Y Camp, we're going to be taking some of these cuttings from the willows and planting them further upstream for some erosion prevention here at Honor Point. So watch me as I do this. You want to make sure it's a species of tree that's native to river bottoms. That's your best chance of one that will propagate and send out roots. So willows and cottonwoods are sure bets. I'm going to find a branch that's got some buds on it. I want it to be at least 18 inches long and at least as thick as a pencil. I'm going to go ahead and very carefully cut it off of the tree. Cutting it off rather than bending it and ripping it off exposes less of the tree to damage and potential fungal infection. So it's always best to cut either with a knife or with some clippers rather than just tear it out. So now that I've got this, we're just going to plant this straight into the ground, at least 6 inches, but 8 to 10 inches being preferable, and in 2 weeks this will have sprouted roots and will be a new tree. So here we've got a section of bank that we want to protect from erosion. So we want to plant some trees that their roots are going to grow down and hold this bank in place. So we've got our cutting. We're going to follow a really technical way to plant this, so pay close attention. You find some dirt to put it where you know there's going to be water, and then you stick it into the ground. And we're done.